4, Monday. Looks very hazy today. I think this is very, very thick dust. And we saw yesterday that it's from Africa. Came from Mali, Niger, Mauritania, that area. I'm going to do something just a little bit different for today. We're going to start out with a surface chart. This shows conditions down at the ground. And I'm going to draw a line here. See if you can tell me what the difference is between areas north of this line and south of the line. Probably the first thing you notice is that the wind barb, which points to the southeast here and to the north here, are totally different across that boundary. Indeed, that's the case. See, here up north we've got northerly winds blowing in from Kansas. To the south of the boundary we have southeasterly winds coming from the Gulf. So that line right there is a cold front that's sneaking down through West Texas and New Mexico. Pretty good gusty winds back here, 25 knots sustained there at Roswell and 15 knots there at looks like Clovis Cannon Air Force Base. In the very lower left of each plot you can see a dew point value in degrees Fahrenheit. So we have 75 here, 77, 75. Those are some pretty high dew points, and we even get up near 80 just off the Texas coast, off Port Aransas. So very good moisture just coming on shore. Got an 80-degree reading right there. That's a little bit rare for this time of year. So we're bringing in some very good moisture into the I-35 area and up towards Fort Worth and Waco. We'll start out with our visible satellite imagery for 9:30 this morning, and you can see there's a pretty good zone of low clouds, cumulus streaming up northward. This is probably the deeper depth of the moisture, and we can see some debris clouds from some old thunderstorm activity drifting across central Texas. Sea breeze is evident along the just barely along the Texas Gulf Coast. We run that forward a couple of hours, and you can see that the ridge keeps everything pretty shut down across Texas and Oklahoma. The ridge is that upper level high that produces downward vertical motion and warms the upper part of the troposphere, but we get some good development out west in the higher terrain. We've probably got a little bit of convergence here, and the cold front. Do you see the cold front? There's kind of like a fine line that extends from northwest Oklahoma through the Texas Panhandle. There it is. So right now we're up to 2:30 this afternoon. Thunderstorms just getting fired up, and there's probably some sort of convergence line out west. And we move forward a little bit. Run that up to 6 o'clock. Thunderstorms really blow up across West Texas from Amarillo down to Midland. And as we get towards the dusk hours, big anvil cloud out to the west. Out here we see some pretty cool shadows, because the sun is off to the west, shining this way, and we get this shadow on the back side of the thunderstorm cloud. And out further east, not a whole lot of weather, just a lot of haze across East Texas. Here's the radar picture for West Texas at 11 p.m., showing kind of a disorganized thunderstorm area from about Hobbs up to the Lubbock area. And you see this little arcing appearance out around Vernon, Texas, down to about Seymour, somewhere in there. That is an outflow boundary, and it's pushing way ahead of the thunderstorm area. So this tells us that this area is probably going to start diminishing and weakening. Not too sure about this area further out west, but we should see the activity in northwest Texas kind of subside a little bit. Further up north in the Texas Panhandle, you can see that outflow boundary that I showed you earlier. See it? It's ahead of this storm area. But if you follow that into the stuff in Oklahoma, it's a lot closer. Only about 10 miles from these storms. So these storms are a little bit more organized, and they have a bit more inflow coming into them. So we would expect to see these storms here in Oklahoma continue probably at least another few hours, maybe continuing on until the pre-dawn hours, but this activity down along the Texas Caprock should gradually start shutting down. So now I'm going to go up to 30,000 feet, the 300 millibar chart, and get the big picture on what's coming up over the next 5 days or so. If we start out with this chart here for tonight, you can see that the ridge extends from about Midland up to the Oklahoma City area. This is where it pokes the furthest north. Pretty much everything east of that ridge is shut down all the way to Louisiana, but some activity is developing in West Texas. And why is that? It's because we've got higher terrain out there. It makes it easier for the storms to develop, and it looks like they're getting a little upper level support where the winds are a little bit stronger, 20 to 25 knot winds aloft, helping to keep those storms going. If we run the forecast forward through tomorrow, you can see that the ridge pushes on off to the west and we get some stronger winds into West Texas right there. So we'll probably see a repeat of this tomorrow, and then we got even stronger winds coming in from the Pacific. Does that get here? Well, yesterday the models were suggesting that the strong upper-level winds were going to go mostly into the Central Plains, and that's kind of the general idea of what the models do indicates happening. The ridge does break down a little bit, so we may see the precipitation chances come up a little bit towards Friday. Then towards the weekend, the ridge builds back in. Looks like a dry and warm weekend, probably still some continued storms in the Texas Panhandle and eastern New Mexico. Then moving up into Sunday and Monday, the ridge really builds in, weak upper level flow aloft, so we're looking at a dry pattern going into next week with not much change. You remember I showed you that the models were sneaking in northerly flow into Texas later on. You can see that it has gone against that. See, now we're into Thursday next week and Friday, so it shows you how much the models can flip-flop once you get out about 5 or 6 days into the future. That's the Texas forecast. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow. Hey, look at that guy. Heading to town just for a few items. Looks like that Saharan dust has backed off just a little bit. You can actually see a little bit of the clouds now. Either that or the boundary layer is probably deepened a little bit and kind of thinned. Kind of disperse some of it. Yeah, this always warms my heart. I always hate going here because I can never get out without dropping $50. What is the difference between foam sealant and window and door? Well, one's about $2 more expensive. I guess this one's got to be more waterproof. Yeah, look at that roll of copper wire there, $600. No wonder that stuff gets stolen. $905 for this right here. 500 feet. That's some serious money there. That's like the most orderly shopping cart return I've ever seen. Symmetric and everything. Taking care of problem number 2. See this little thing right here? I found not too many people have really known about this. This is a lever that goes into that detente there, and it'll pump the gas for you. I've known a couple people that have never heard of that, so maybe that's a little tip for you. You know, I was sitting here trying to think what to fill up the tape with because I didn't take a whole lot of video today. I spent most of yesterday doing videos, and I wanted to kind of take it easy today. But I figured I'd kind of dig into some of my computer files. This is my digital atmosphere directory from an old backup from 1996, and I don't know if any of you remember weathergraphix. That was one of the very first big weather software programs I wrote. I want to see if it'll run. This is Windows 7. Let me find the exe files. Let's see. I think there's a bunch of other stuff mixed in there. Yeah, I think it's weather. Is it going to come up? Can't run due to incompatibility with 64-bit version of Windows. Well, there's ways around that. Now, if you have this happen, what you want to do is go to your file. We're trying to run weather.exe. And what you want to do is right-click on that, go to Properties, and go to compatibility mode. This is what you should do with old software when you're trying to get it to run. Do run compatibility mode, and you can dial that way back to like Windows 95, and we should probably do that just to make sure we've got full compatibility here. And then from File Explorer, you go ahead and click that. Okay, so it's still giving us trouble. It's possible this version may be just too old to run. This may be like 16-bit software here. So let me see if there's anything we missed. We can try running in 256, 640 by 480, try to increase the compatibility, and we can even try running it as administrators to make sure we're okay. We'll just do all this here. You think it's going to run? You want to take bets? Let's see. Nope, no dice. I think we're out of luck here. There's probably emulators you can use to get it to run, but I don't care too much. I was kind of running it for old nostalgia's sake. If you want to know what it looks like, if it actually ran, we would have a map that looks kind of like this. I would have to manually feed it with weather data. But this was originally a DOS program, and it had a very rudimentary menu interface. You would actually click on these boxes here to get the different products to come up. But there you go. It looks a lot like the charts you see on the internet right now. So pretty cool. It's too bad we didn't get it to run. If you guys have it and can get it to run, I've released this as freeware. Have at it, and you can report your results, and I'll pass that along. Anyway, that's about all I got for today. I'll go ahead and get this uploaded before it gets to be 4 in the morning. Have a good evening, and we'll see you tomorrow.